How is it going, everyone? It's Kate Lumity here, and today we're going to be talking about a movie that I have never seen before, but I finally decided to watch it tonight, and that is Hocus Pocus. We're getting towards the Halloween season, and I figured, you know what, let's go ahead and start watching some Halloween movies, and Hocus Pocus has been on my radar, so I figured, you know what, why not go ahead and watch it? I know my sister-in-law loves this movie, and I wanted to see what this movie was all about, and I have to say, I actually enjoyed this movie quite a bit as well. I think it's a really fun movie, and it's kind of funny because while this movie has some good characters, I would say it's more about the antagonists of this movie. It's really more about the witches than anyone, and I actually really enjoyed each of the witches. They're the standout characters, and I mean, yeah, you got Binks as well, who's like the cat that it used to be a human, and the witches turned him into a cat, but even then, like, the witches are they're the ones that bring all the personality to this movie. I like every single one of them. They're all played very well, and they're all just crazy. They're crazy, and that's a good way to describe this movie. It's crazy, but it's entertaining. I really do like this movie. It's a lot of fun, and I think that it's a great movie to kick off my Halloween season, honestly. This movie stars Omri Katz, who plays Max Dennison, who is the main kid in this, who's going against the witches after the witches get resurrected after being hanged early on in the movie. This movie's pretty dark, by the way. But yeah, you also have Thora Birch, who plays Max's little sister, and you also have Vanessa Shaw, who is the love interest of Max, and her name is Allison. And it's basically these three against the three witches, the Sanderson witches, Mary Sanderson, Sarah Sanderson, and the leader of the witches, Winifred Sanderson. And the witches, like I said, they're the main characters. You can say the other ones are the main characters, but nah, it's the witches. There's a reason why you only see, stuff mainly of the Sandersons when it comes to, like, merchandise for this movie. I completely get why you mainly see merchandise for them. This movie is about them. I really enjoyed this movie, though. It's fun. It looks still pretty good. There's some CGI that they used for the cat, but it actually doesn't look too bad. And I like the different magic spells that they use in this. I like all the different effects that they have going on in this. It all looks pretty good. I like the makeup. The makeup's done really well, especially when you see a character named Billy Butcherson, who's played by Doug Jones. He's like basically an undead zombie that gets brought back to life, and he looks pretty good. They did a good job with the makeup on him and just making him look undead. And overall, like I said, I think that this looks really good. I think this movie is acted very well. I think every single person does a great job in their role. All the characters are very likable. I liked all of them, even the witches. Like I said, I actually even like the witches, and at some point, I have to be honest, I kind of found myself rooting for the witches, which seems really weird considering they're supposed to be the antagonists, but I couldn't help it. They just had so much personality that I was just like, man, maybe the witches should just, live forever. Maybe they should just, like, use these spells on these kids and destroy them and live forever. Maybe the witches should do that. I started rooting for them. I couldn't help it, They just had so much personality and they were so funny. That I just was just like, yeah, I'm going to start rooting for the Sandersons. But yeah, I still liked all the characters, though. The main characters were still likable enough, and overall, this is just a good time. This is a fun movie, and it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you've never seen it like I haven't, and I definitely want to check out the Hocus Pocus 2 now, because I've never seen that one either. But it's a crazy movie. There's a lot of stuff that's done in this movie that probably wouldn't be done in a movie today. There's some funny moments. One of my favorite moments is when they see the Sanderson sisters see a guy dressed up as Satan for Halloween, and then they all start rushing over to them and they start like bowing down to him and worshiping him, and they're just like, "Oh, Father!" It's just like they think that this guy is like actually Satan, and they start like following him around and everything. And then the guy's taking advantage of it because he likes the girls, and then his wife sees him and his wife kicks him out and everything. That was a funny moment. I like that. I liked when the bus driver picked them up and he was hitting on them, but the witches didn't really pick it up, so they just went along for the ride. And there's some also kind of morbid moments in this. I've already mentioned the witches being hanged at the beginning of this movie. But yeah, they get hanged at the beginning of the movie. Binks at one point gets ran over, and luckily, he comes right back. But still, like, there's some morbid moments in it, and I don't want to spoil anything for later on in the movie. But it's a kind of a sad ending, but at the same time, it turns that sad ending into a happy ending, and it all ends out it ends up working out at the end, and they did a good job just kind of wrapping it up and putting a nice little bow on it. So, let's talk about that Rotten Tomatoes score for Hocus Pocus. So, the critics gave this movie a 39%, basically a 4 out of 10. The critics. They hate fun. They hate anything enjoyable. If you love it, the critics hate it. So, forget the critics. Their score sucks. They're wrong. The audience gave it a 72%, which is basically a 7 out of 10, which is exactly what I would give this movie. This movie gets a 7 out of 10 from me. It's not a perfect movie. There's obviously some moments where, there's some like plot holes and some things don't necessarily make sense, but who cares? It's a Halloween flick. It's just a fun time. You're not supposed to take it super serious. This movie doesn't take itself super serious. Just sit back and enjoy the ride and enjoy the laughs. That's what I say you should do with this movie. It's a fun time, and it's definitely a 7 out of 10 movie, and you should definitely check it out. I understand the love that this movie gets now, and I think that this movie deserves all the love that it does get. Check out Hocus Pocus, and I will watch the second one eventually, and maybe I will talk about that on the channel as well. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you next time. You have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.